It's a very special day today as I'm joined here by Big Cheds, a very prolific creator on Twitter and also YouTube as well, which will have the links to his socials in the description below. But I wanted to bring him on here today, introduce him, and then of course talk about some damn price. So take it away, man. Tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, and then let's talk about some damn Bitcoin price action.
Yeah, Eric, thanks, man. Appreciate you, man. It's good to finally collab. What's funny is people for
Absolutely.
like many years have said like you got to check out this guy. You got to talk to this guy. And I don't like collab with that many people, but
Right.
quality people for sure. And you've kept and maintained a really nice relationship. So kudos for that.
My man.
I've been trading probably like 20 years or so, and I
Jesus.
discovered crypto like in 2017.
Hmm.
So before that, I was trying equities and I did a lot of penny stock trading and like volatility, and like penny stocks helped me
Right.
with altcoins. And I started social media like around 2014. And I started putting out little tricks, little tips, and I found that people liked it. And I kind of leaned into it, and I built a little bit of a reputation on Twitter as like a newbie helper. Because like people helped me out when I was getting started, and so I was
Yeah.
kind of like to turn that back around. And you can only get good at anything by teaching it. I'm sure you kind of have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sense as
Dude,
well.
it's made me 10 times of a better trader. 100%.
Yes, 100%.
It's a very selfish endeavor, really. It
That's right.
really
I
is.
know, I know. People are like, "Oh, thank you." I'm like, "Well, I'm
Yeah,
getting better too."
yeah, I'm getting more out of this than you, to be honest.
That's it. They don't know. They don't know, right?
Indeed.
So I mean, 2017, I discovered crypto. What was really funny,
Mhm.
is I was looking at my buddy's phone, and he's actually Big Jonas on Twitter. I don't, you probably know Jonas, maybe not.
Oh, holy shit. Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
one from way back when.
That's my
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
And so I'm looking at his phone and it says, and this is like before I understood what crypto was. Like I'd heard of Bitcoin, but I saw Ethereum and Litecoin on his phone, and my brain thought, why does he have precious metals on his phone? Like I didn't, it was the weirdest thing. That was like my first thought. Like, I kid you not. And I discovered crypto, and I started because I was always a chart guy. So I
Right,
started
right.
putting out charts, and people were like loving it. I was like, oh wow, like retweets. I'm getting
Yeah,
that serotonin. I'm getting that feedback where I'm
right
like, ooh,
on.
more charts. And like the same time, so I discovered crypto, and then I was diagnosed with cancer like
Holy
two
shit.
months later. So I went through this process of like going through chemo and radiation. And instead of like, wallowing, I was like, let me just be all crypto. So I leaned into
I like it,
Bitcoin.
man.
Yeah, it
Using
kind
it
of saved my
positively.
life. And I just built this, my growing just expanded from
Oh, that's
there.
awesome.
I've been doing Bitcoin Live for like almost 7 years, which is a team I work with. And I published 4 books, and I'm doing YouTube. And I'm just super happy to be part of this ecosystem, and just glad I'm here today with you, man. So,
Indeed, man. It's fun, man. It's super fun. I'm gonna bring your charts
yeah.
up on here.
Okay.
Let's talk about some damn price. I know that's
Yeah.
what we both like to do most. So
Yeah.
let's run
So,
through your thoughts on Bitcoin. High
yeah,
return time frames
Bitcoin.
first, and then maybe we work our way lower.
Yeah, it's a great call. And I think people tend to get a lot stuck in like what time frame to use. And like, I've studied classical charting. I did CMT1. And generally speaking, when you drop to low time frame is after volatility, when the price is at a
Mm,
key level. Those are two
yeah,
like general rules of thumb. You always want to know what time frame you're operating in. So if you're in the 4 hour or the daily, you need to know what the weekly is doing, right? So I always
yeah.
start outside in. And what's interesting for me, obviously, it's an uptrend in the weekly chart, price above the rising
Mhm.
SMA 200. What's notable for me is we had a pretty good candle signal a few weeks ago with this inside bar. We had the first candle that was contained within the prior candle completely, which is the week ending on May 26th,
Right.
right? So this is the first inside bar, if I can find my arrow here somewhere. So we have the first inside bar, and that suggested to me we were going to begin a consolidation phase. And consolidation's bullish if the trend is bullish before that, right? Trends tend to
Hmm.
continue. So this suggested to me the trend was pausing. We're going to consolidate. Now we're looking for lower time frames to see if we get any trading opportunities. Do we get any volatility? Do we drop back to the 100K level? Do we drop back to this 96K zone? Do we, by some miracle, get some kind of a panic dip to, maybe 88.5K? And I'm kind of positioning for that. We've had very shallow retracements on the lower time frames while we're watching this weekly consolidation, and it's still basically near all-time highs, Eric. We're still
Right.
pretty much high and tight. We're grinding high, a couple doji in a row. Holding most of the gains, yet we are consolidating. And while this is happening, oscillators are resetting, things are kind of rebalancing short term. So, the weekly is super clean. Daily, now we're flexing our first close below the daily MA50. right? So that's a suggestion to me. We might begin a little bit of a deeper consolidation. And so what does that mean? I mean, you want to position yourself for dips back to definable levels, 96K zone, like I said, 88.5.
Mm.
I don't know if we're going to do what we did most recently when we dropped all the way to the weekly 50, right? That would be a lot of damage. But if you look at what happened afterwards, it allowed for a new push higher. So
Yeah.
essentially, as long as we consolidate and hold the weekly MA50, I'm viewing all of this consolidation as bullish and likely to resolve with the trend, which is an uptrend.
Yeah, I'm with you as well, man. Because overall, Bitcoin has been vertical since April, effectively. So,
Yeah.
can it afford like a deeper pullback? Well, one of the things that I learned when I was coming up in trading and that my mentor told me was, when you're going on the way up
Hmm.
and you have a very, shallow pullbacks on the way up, well, at some
Yeah.
point you're going to have a deeper one. And it seems to
Yeah.
me that things are kind of setting up for that here,
Mm.
especially with Bitcoin being, I mean, yes, I know it sounds fucking crazy, but it's been really boring, to be honest, with
Oh
this
my God, it's
Bitcoin
been
being above
so
100.
boring. I'm with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm with you, man, 100%.
Yeah, man. But we've seen this so many times. Like you remember summer of 2019, and of
Hmm.
course last summer and the summer before that and the summer before that as well. But the summer of 2019 for some reason really I don't know, it really jives with me on this current move because Bitcoin, coming off of this major move to the upside and then
Yeah.
spends what 1, 2, 3 months putting in a consolidation. Yeah, before breaking down a little bit like that. I don't think we're going to get a breakdown like that, honestly.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
my point is that Bitcoin can spend, months in these consolidations
Yes.
doing very
Yes.
little, and
Yes.
then it all happens at once. And I'm with you, of course. I always favor the dominant trend. In this case,
Yeah.
it very obviously is to the upside. But
Hmm.
shit, man, it wouldn't really surprise me at this point to still be kind of oscillating between what 90 and 110, around the end of this next quarter, maybe. I mean, I think it could be a long time, honestly. What
Yeah,
do
I
you think?
think I think it's a great call. I mean, I think there's definitely when you understand what phase you're in. Here, it's consolidation. Trying to just exactly decide the texture of the consolidation, where the lower highs, where exactly how it's going to consolidate. It's a little bit of a guessing game for sure, but I think it makes a lot of sense to foresee more chop because that's what we've been doing. And you talk about it being boring and shallow retracements. That hasn't really opened up a lot of room for other altcoins. And
Yeah, yeah,
in the past we've had Bitcoin pausing, Ethereum taking over, altcoins
yeah.
taking over. We
We
haven't
had
had that.
rotations. Yeah,
We haven't had those rotations, and you've had to be extremely choosy about what altcoins you're in and only playing uptrends and really defining your risk. Because you've had several charts starting to reverse and then failing to follow through. You got to be a very careful market. And a lot of people have been praying for dominance to top off for 65% now, then praying for Ethereum, to start to reverse against Bitcoin. We haven't really had any follow through in that. It's a pretty pronounced downtrend in the daily for sure. So I think it makes a lot of sense to think that Bitcoin's going to grind. I think we could just wait and pray for volatility
yeah,
and take advantage of it. And here's the thing that I always say: when it's boring like this, you don't want to get lulled into complacency. You want to be ready for an opportunity because they will come. And it's one of those
yeah.
things where you say, I'd love to buy at 96K, Eric. But then when you get the volatility, you might panic. You might be
Mm,
afraid to buy. So continue to mark your levels, continue to be disciplined and wait for volatility because the volatility days are some of the best trading days, of the year when they
yeah,
come.
yeah. Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Cheds.
Yeah.
On the weekly, how
Yeah.
do you read the Bollinger Bands there?
I mean, the Bollinger Bands in the weekly, just take a look at that. So, I mean, they're super wide. Obviously, you referenced that move from
Mm,
April, right? And a lot of people were sidelined, maybe expecting lower, and they were expecting maybe a tap of the prior range peak, but the price gave a very clear long signal around 81K. There's a 4H recapture locally, right? So, there was different construction. People got long here. You asked about the weekly. I said 4 hour, but a lot of people got long at 81K, and the price has been pretty much vertical since then, since you mentioned. The Bollinger Bands, in my view, are showing that we had a massive expansion. Now it's starting to catch up. There's no pinch. We're nowhere near a pinch. We clearly have a super wide range here, on the weekly. As you can see by the Bollinger Bands are super wide. I'm not getting a lot of information from the Bollinger Bands here
mhm.
personally, other than that the price is near the upper Bollinger Band, which is bullish. It's above for me, EMA 8, which I use as my short-term moving average. Some people use like EMA 12. Again, for those who don't know,
Right.
EMA is exponential. It means it's more sensitive to short-term short-term price movement. So I'm not going to getting a ton from the Bollinger Bands. I'm really just watching MA50. If we get anywhere near it, I'm really watching this price structure here. Should have support right around 96K. I
Yeah.
drew it on the daily, but you can see it on the weekly as well. And that'd be healthy. And a lot of people want to call double top, right? But how
Well, they're looking
does
at 2021 and they're like, oh, well, it looks the
yes,
same, so it must be
yeah.
the same thing, you know?
Well, let's
But
talk about
here's
that.
my issue with that,
Go ahead.
man.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I
Go
don't mean
ahead.
to cut you off,
No,
but
no, please
my
do. Please
issue
do.
with all of those like copy and paste from a prior cycle to the current cycle is that's never
Yeah,
fucking worked. Like
it never works.
literally
Yeah.
no cycle top has actually mirrored a prior cycle top in terms of literal
Mm,
price action. In terms of, indicators and whatnot, yeah, we have seen
yes.
fractal action there for sure. But in
Mhm.
terms of literal price, no, we haven't.
I mean, it's similar, and people want things to be similar because they want to know exactly what to do next. They're
Of
looking for
course,
some
yeah.
type of key. But things are a little bit different, right? For example, we dropped below the prior all-time high for the first time ever. Okay, so
Hmm.
that's a new data point. We spent all this time below the weekly MA200 for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Sign of longer
Yeah.
term weakening trend, or even like a lessening or dampening of volatility. So things are changing and suggesting you probably don't want to try to copy one to one. But the point I want to make is it a double top? But like, how does an ascending triangle form? Where you set a peak, you come up, you set a
Right.
peak, you come back, you set another peak. Okay, is it a double top, or is it going to put in rising demand and you're going to form an
Yeah.
ascending triangle and go? And my base case actually had been ascending triangle for the price back in 2021.
Yeah.
And when that failed, I started to really get bearish or cautious
Yeah.
on Bitcoin back when we started to lose the weekly 50, and then we had the failed breakout over 46K. So double top or ascending triangle. Okay. I mean, if you want to say double top, you're betting against the trend, right? So I'm just
Right.
going to give full deference to the trend until any kind of damage has been done. I don't see any damage being done yet. Do you see any damage to the
Until you get a
trend?
lower low, there's no reversal.
Yeah.
And that low is pretty fucking far away. So,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
said, if things drop down to 95 or if they drop down to 88, as you're saying, that's
Yeah.
still a higher low in the grand scheme of things. But in the short
Absolutely.
term, it's going to be scary as fuck I mean,
Yeah.
to everyone really, but
Yeah.
especially altcoin holders of the world getting shitting on left, right, and center. But,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that can very easily happen. And,
Yeah.
if we zoom out a few months, it's going to look like nothing.
I think so. And look at the price distance to the MA200. I mean, this is just reflective of incredible trend strength, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So should we fear any kind of drop to support? Should we fear any kind of drop to rising demand structure? It just depends. And it's just, when you do these videos, you're very active, and I know the people love it, right? People love content. But how
Mm.
do you know the people watching you? Are they trading the day? Are they swing trading? Are they holding for months and years? We don't know. So we try to
Right.
speak to everyone, right? And if you're just accumulating, you're wanting to dip to 88, 90K. You're wanting to buy for the future. And if you're trading, if you, for example, were level to level trading and you said, okay, I'm drawing a head and shoulders, and I have a shoulder, I have a head, I have a right shoulder, I have a neck baseline, and your trade,
Mhm.
confirms on a neck base break or a right shoulder invalidation. If you went long in the 107K break, okay, it faked you out. And if you didn't, hit your stop loss, now you're wondering what the heck you're doing, right? So if you're
Right.
trading level to level, I think that's fine, but you have to manage your risk per level. For example, buying at 100K is fine, but I wouldn't really hold below whatever 98.5 or something
Mm.
based on that thesis. So the price can certainly drop deep lower, give you a clean weekly signal, show clean weekly continuation, but it can wreck you in the short term if you're dropping, doing 4-hour trading or even lower time frame daily trading. And like you said, what will happen to altcoins if Bitcoin does a deeper consolidation? They are incredibly
Straight to hell.
vulnerable, except TRX, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Right,
I know it's fucking super, super
dude.
surprising, but yeah, it
Yeah,
really is.
it is kind of crazy. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
I'm joking, but I'm not, right? Like some
No,
of these
that's objectively
dino
different than
coins.
everything else.
Yes, and he never went to jail.
I think a little donation had to do something with
Yes.
that, but sure.
There
Yep.
you right. So, man, do you remember when the strategic news came out, reserve news,
Yeah.
and like ADA, XRP, all this stuff shot up?
Mm.
And it was
Mhm.
funny when the news came out. I thought, man, I kind of thought ADA sucked, but now I'm like, And I thought some of these things would continue, and it just goes to show that you shouldn't get too caught up in the news. You got to
Yeah.
let the price be your guide because it's just giving it all back. There's no follow through. You know, ADA XLM was, you know, these things that you thought were dead, they were
Yeah.
reignited, and I
Yeah.
really believed. And it shows the danger of getting caught up in the moment, and these things are just
Yeah.
unwound, and there's
That's
very
one of the
few.
things that my mentor taught me really early on. He said, any
Yeah,
price action as a result of a news story that just hit,
yeah,
you don't want to fall into that. You want to fade it, if
yeah.
anything, or wait.
Yeah, you fade it because, and you know, ask yourself, are you buying the rumor or are you buying the news?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the
You're late
rumor's
to the
pretty
party at
good
that point.
usually. You're late to the party. Rumor's good, man. I'll
Yeah.
buy a rumor, right? Because you have the
Sure.
chance to ride. News comes out, you know, what's next, you know? It's usually kind of disappointing. So it's been, I love it when altcoins are doing well. And I will say, like, BNB is doing well, which is good. You know, 640 is my level line in the sand for now.
Yeah.
Generally, for health of the market, when BNB is strong, it's a good market, right?
Right. Right.
Throughout the years, and it's still pretty good. BNB looks really good, but like the juice isn't being spread to
Mm.
kind of more traditional altcoins. As people are playing memes, they're playing all this other stuff that I guess I'm a boomer that I don't follow. I'm a little, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, I just hope if Bitcoin does a deep consolidation that people do not just hold some of the stuff, you know,
Right.
that's
Now,
underperforming.
Cheds, let me know.
Yeah,
We got
talk
a
to me.
big time frame closing soon, the quarterly and the semi-annual for that matter. But the quarterly, I think, is a little bit more analysizable. What do you think on that one?
You have like a 3 month BTC.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how do you not like this? I mean, there's not much for
Right.
me, and I will say philosophically, I don't look at time frames this large because there's no MA 200, and I
Mm,
generally
mm,
speaking
yeah.
don't look above the weekly. I think monthly's fine, and again, this speaks to there are many different systems. There's many traders who are better than me, and I just try to do my own style. I generally don't look at a chart this new because you can't glean that much. Obviously, it's an uptrend, but it's just not a ton of history. I like to see a trend. We barely have like an MA 50 here. But just
Right.
to comment on this, how do you not like it? And what sticks out? I mean, what just sticks out here is, you know, this area roughly, which is 60K. That's incredibly scary to talk about,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, when you go to this time frame. But why would you be thinking that level yet? It's riding the upper Bollinger Band. It's well above the EMA 8. I mean, this is just
Where
incredibly
is the
bullish.
top band right now?
Let's do that. So the upper Bollinger Band is 97.8.
Oh wow, it has a lot of room there.
It's
Because
got a
one of
lot of
the
room, yeah,
now
yeah,
I'm not a big Bollinger Band guy, although I do
yeah,
use some tools surrounding it. But one of the
uh-huh,
things that I learned with the Bollinger Bands is when
yeah,
price is riding, especially above the top band,
yes.
that's a trend in motion, essentially.
Yeah,
Is
there's a lot of momentum, so let's try to look
okay,
at that. If
yeah,
you look at, like, what's instructive, you think about, like, the strongest runs in Bitcoin, the initial breakout. So you just referenced we can
hmm
even take, you know, this initial breakout here back in October 24. This is here in the daily chart, riding the upper Bollinger Band, really the way in my system with the EMA 8, oscillating between the upper
hmm
Bollinger Band and the EMA 8 is that primary unquestioned uptrend support, and they start to look for the drops to the second level, you know, the middle Bollinger, which is SMA
yeah,
20 or something else when it's starting to consolidate. But riding the upper Bollinger Band is incredibly strong, and it's not necessarily people think, oh, it's bearish because it's overextended. Well, how do you
that's
get,
a
for
strong
example,
move.
it's a
Yeah,
strong move. How do you get overbought? How do you
yeah,
become overbought? You have to be
it
bullish.
definitely happens in a bear market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, exactly, exactly. And how do you become oversold? You have to be bearish.
hmm
Trends tend to continue.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
want to usually bet that the trend will continue until you get more information. So yeah, I mean the Bollinger Bands, I like to use them for Japanese candlestick signals a lot. I don't know how
hmm
much you use candles, but like, for example, like a hammer candle, you know, which is a reversal candle. You'd love to see that hammer candle like after a move down, right? You don't want to see it in the middle of the
yeah,
channel. It doesn't mean anything. You're reversing a trend. Same things with like moving averages. You want a sharp
hmm
moving, like moving averages are going sideways. This cross doesn't mean anything, but a
yeah,
sharp cross, you know, stuff like that. So
right, right.
yeah. Yeah. What do you think about Ethereum on this weekly? This is really interesting to me.
You know, so I came into the market about the same time as you,
Yeah.
and for me, it's like mentally difficult to think of Ethereum. It's like, oh, is it just another shitcoin nowadays? Like, is it really
Yeah.
just not going to follow through to the upside with the rest of the market and make new highs? And
Yeah.
I'm honestly having a more and more difficult time making the case that it will. It
Yeah.
literally fails every fucking chance that it gets. For
Yeah.
me, Ethereum, I haven't got the actual bearish breakdown signal just yet. If I look at my chart, where exactly is it? I think
Yeah.
on the
Let's see what you
daily, it
got.
is. Yeah, if I look at the daily, it is. Oh, actually, got to remove your chart really quickly, but
How dare
yeah,
you?
there we go. On the daily, I have 2385 as like the line in the sand.
Yeah.
Closures below there on a daily time frame, then I can't not see this thing go down to the low 2000s at least.
Mhm.
And especially as long as this thing's again below last Monday's high, like that's only 2681.
Mhm.
I mean, pressure is to the downside. It's hard to
Yes.
ignore here. When I bring
Yes.
up momentum oscillators, everything points to the downside as well. To
Mm.
me, again, it's very difficult to look at Ethereum in this way, just because of the past history. But the old saying is what past performance is not indicative of future
Not
returns,
indicative.
something like this.
I mean,
And
history rhymes, right? It doesn't repeat.
right,
And
right,
a lot of people, and this ties in with people thinking that dominance is going to top off, Ethereum's going to
yeah,
start to
yeah.
outperform, but it gets its chance, and there's no follow through, like you said.
Exactly. But when I look at it here, you could definitely make the argument that it is just one massive macro ascending triangle, right? You got these
Sure.
rising bottoms here, you got the same highs here.
Yeah.
It's going to spend the next, I don't know, few years consolidating in this major range or something like
That's
that. I don't fucking know.
hilarious.
And then break
That's
out in
hilarious.
2030 and go to 6,000, something like
Yeah,
that.
that is
But yeah,
funny.
man. I'll
I
put
I
your
mean
screen.
I
I'll put
mean,
yours back up
yeah,
there.
yeah. So, I mean, that's a what ascending triangle, right? So, what does that give you? You have to define your lows, right? For me, okay,
Yeah.
I'll just say 2100, 2150. If we want to talk about an ascending triangle, we talk about the ascending
Yeah.
triangle that broke out, right? On Ethereum, we did a throwback or a bullish retest. We did that and failed. So anybody who was sidelined and was waiting for 8 900 had a pretty clear long signal on this recapture of 2150. So that's kind of your, for me, asymmetric line in the sand plus 2150. And when the price recaptured 2150, I started to look generally around 27, 2800, this level above,
Yeah.
right? So what has happened? You had the price advance and it's stalling here, man. And then, so in
Yeah.
Japanese candlestick theory, to me, this looks like the setup for a tower top. People think of the BART, right?
Yeah.
Like BART, look at this strong advance and all these sideways bodies. This shows bulls are having trouble sustaining
Mm.
the advance. All these little bodies, indecision candles, and
Yeah.
it's likely to drop back to the midpoint of that green candle, which lines up with 2100, 2150. So
Mm.
it's sloppy overhead. I don't know what an overhead trigger would be here. But I
I
do
think it
know
has to
that
be above 29 now.
2900, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. Something using this wick and this structure is actually quite reasonable. That's a pretty good answer. You break the descending supply trend, lower high break. But I
Right.
want some value, man. It's been an underperformer, so I'm not chasing it. I want a deep dip, 2100, 2150. That would be reasonable. But man, it's been so sad. It's been so
Yeah. No,
underperforming.
I think at this point you have to look at Ethereum as just you just trade it. You're not going to hold something like this. I mean, it's going to underperform,
Mm,
of course, Bitcoin.
yes,
It just seems like
underperformed
Bitcoin's
Bitcoin.
too hard. Bitcoin is just too fucking hard to beat. For
Yeah,
anything,
man.
multiple cycle. If you're looking like at least more than one cycle, of
Yeah,
course, first cycle for anything, it can outpace Bitcoin just because it's easy to move when you got very low market cap. But
yeah.
multiple cycles. Find me one coin that has beat Bitcoin over 2 cycles or more
I mean, a
for
lot
the
of people
Bitcoin
look at
ratio.
pairs, right? Like BNB, BTC,
Right.
sold BTC. I really only look at Ethereum versus BTC, but given that
Mhm.
I started looking at Bitcoin around 3K, and
Yeah.
now it's,
Yeah.
100K. And so a lot of people say I've missed it, and that's why they go into this other stuff. And
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
maybe even they buy downtrends. Like I was looking at Filecoin, which is a very nasty downtrend. And
Holy shit.
I'm using this as my example. I do a YouTube
Yeah.
stream and people ask me, "Hey, I'm looking to buy Filecoin. Where should I buy it?" I'm like, "What are you
Well, do
talking
you
about?"
hate money or
Yeah, do you
what's
hate
the
your yeah,
goal here? To lose
exactly.
money?
So, but they look for something like this. It's at
Yeah.
$2. They say if it goes back to 30, I can 15x my money. But Bitcoin's not going to do that. It's just a thing where, this is probably going lower. Bitcoin's
Yeah.
probably going higher.
It's never even known what a fucking uptrend is. Look.
Yeah, this is gross.
Yeah.
This is gross. Sorry to hate on all the Filecoin, hardcore believers out there, but how about hype? I mean, that's a pretty
Yeah.
nice little move in
That's
this
a
guy.
good current cycle shitcoin. Like this is the one that
Yes,
you want to get in if
yes,
you're going to play the shitcoin roulette.
yes. Is that how they say it? Is that the
I don't
French
know, dude.
pronunciation? That's
I
like the
don't think
French.
anyone knows how to say that word, to be honest.
No, it's not even. There's no
It's
official
probably not
one.
even a word,
It's not. I think it's all made up. You just made that up.
most
But
likely.
I mean, yeah. So hype's been super strong. Solana, it's still holding 140. I was watching it last night. I mean, it's not great. It's certainly not
Yeah.
great. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a couple that are kind of teetering on the edge. XRP's kind of teetering on the XRP is interesting, right? It's still
It's
holding
one of those
too,
ones
but
that can just pump out of nowhere, it does feel like, but
yes,
yeah,
yes.
it likes to fail as well. It's like an Ethereum. It just likes to take any chance it gets and fail.
It never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity,
Right.
right? You know, our CRV is just sad to me. I saw this one kind of breaking out. Looks like it's generally
Yeah.
failing to hold here on the throwback, but there are a bunch that were starting to get going and kind of just rolling
Yeah. They're
over.
just
So
rolling, man. Yeah.
it's been sad, you know, when I do my videos and I take requests and
Mm.
people ask me to look at stuff and I end up just saying, "Hey, oh, that sucks. That sucks. That looks bad." And if, you
Yeah.
know, I would love to say
100%.
this looks beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
this looks great, but it's just few and far between, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Let me ask you this, Cheds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like a more, I guess, fundamental question, whatever.
Okay.
Uh, do you like believe in do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe in Bitcoin?
My savior. Do I believe in Bitcoin? So here's the thing,
Yeah.
right? I'm a terrible fundamental analyst, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm kind of a price nerd and I just study the BTC price.
Mhm.
But for what I understand, which is very little, is that you've got limited supply on Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got fixed supply, so that's good. And that's kind of the biggest thing that I think it has going for it. You know, is that you've got limited supply and everything else is just like unlimited issuance of the shitcoin, right?
Right. Right.
So do I believe in it? I think it's here to stay. I think if the powers that be were gonna, you know, shut it off, get rid of it, that would have
Mhm.
happened already. You know, so yeah, I would say yes. I would say I definitely
Maybe
believe in
a
it.
better question would be, do you hold Bitcoin?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, yeah, alright, then, yeah, you believe in it,
I
to some
definitely
extent
hold
at
it,
least.
but I don't hold it no matter what, right? Like I got a good clip at
Ah, okay.
18.5, right?
So
I got a
you'll
good
trade around it.
oh my goodness. Yeah, I got a good clip at 18.5.
Mhm.
And people, as a lot of people know, or some people know, when the price dropped off, you know, 2021 and really failed here at
Mhm.
46K, I started looking for 12, 15K.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
got close, but then I shifted my bear thesis right around here in January. But I'm only holding like 20% of what I bought here.
yeah, okay,
I don't.
I
I
see.
have to pay myself. You have to pay yourself for a good idea, right?
Yeah.
You know, because what's
I
the
like that,
point?
man. I like that. I like that.
Right? Come
That's a good
on.
line.
You
That's a
got
fucking good line.
it's feedback, right? You got to pay
Yeah,
yourself for a good idea. Otherwise, you're going to stop coming up with good ideas because you're
right.
not getting the payoff for it. So,
Well, I think it's such a common issue for so many people, and I know I've gone through this. I'm sure you've probably gone through it. I know a lot of people go through it. Is you get a great trade going for yourself when you first begin, and you
yeah,
just don't fucking close it, and it turns into a very bad trade.
it turns into a bad
Going
trade
straight
because
up your ass. Yeah,
if selling were as easy as buying, we'd all be
yeah,
retired, man, you know?
right, right.
It's because once you know, you're up 30%, you think, well, what if I was up 50%?
Yeah, you start like thinking about what you're gonna buy, and what everything's
Yes.
gonna look like. These sort of things. Yeah, clear
Do
signal
you
that
but you
you're
take
in for
partials, right? You
commissions.
take partial profit. You have to
Yeah, yeah,
take a little bit off, you know, because every time you sell a little bit, it makes every future decision easier. It's a smaller percentage of your risk assets, and you have
right.
to manage your emotion, battle your bad habits. And I just like to small ball it. I like to kind of chip away and do all these little things rather than because I had a lot. I mean, my biggest gains honestly came when I got lucky and I didn't know any better. But
Really.
also my biggest
Yeah.
losses were the same time too. So
Right.
I tend to just be a little bit more conservative these days.
I hear you, man. I hear you. And and I feel the same way as I get older, man. I'm starting to switch more and more out of being a more active trader into more of a sort of investor, branching off into traditional markets again, which is actually where I started. But
Yeah, for sure.
it's
For sure.
it's at some point, one, you make the finances that you want, so that part is solved. And then two, you get to a point with trading where it's like, I'm just playing out the same fucking system all the time. It gets quite boring, to be
Yeah.
honest. And you just kind of
Yeah.
want to move on in a certain way. So I get that, man. I get that. But speaking of, are
Yeah.
you trading the lower term timeframes here?
On Bitcoin?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I need volatility, man. I've been
Mm,
just pretty clear. I need to drop to 100K for the first
yeah.
thing for me to even get interested. I mean,
Right.
100K for me, it's a clear psychological level. It also lines up with the price response.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I'm kind of working from there. And then I'm dropping to 96K. Ideally it would come here quickly, right? The whole
Yeah.
concept of the quicker it gets to a level, the more likely it is to hold, right? Slow
Right.
bleeds usually chop through a level. If you move quickly, you have a temporary, short-term overreaction. You have a better chance of holding there. So I'd love to see a quick drop here, or a quick drop here, or a quick drop here. I'm a little bit greedy,
Mm.
Eric,
Yeah.
but right now I'm sitting on that for sure with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Now, I figure we're probably getting. I didn't even realize we've already been recording for 30 minutes, but
Woo woo.
let's do some fun stuff, my man. Let's,
Okay.
or
Yep.
how about you do some fun stuff? You tell me what your sort of, I guess, end of market or end of cycle or maybe end of year predictions are, if you have
Yes.
any.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And the caveat is I will come back and delete this video later if my predictions are wrong.
100%. That's right. We're gonna hold you to it. You can contact Cheds for refunds on Twitter. No
That's it.
problem. All
That's
good.
it. Yep. Yep. At Crown Crypto. That's my name if you want the refunds.
You bastard.
So I had been saying, I've been saying, and I always kind of check myself, do I still feel that way? But I'm thinking like mid 250K, mid
Mhm.
2026.
Wow.
It seems a
Okay.
little bit aggressive, but I just generally took the peak of the cup and I extended it out based on kind of a time interval of the consolidation, right?
Okay.
So I would say I think because a lot of people are trying to say this year, and I'm like, you're crazy. You're
You
crazy,
think so?
100K
Really?
this year. No, I don't think so
Okay.
this year. I think that what you think
I'm leaning in that direction for sure.
for
Yeah,
what? For
absolutely.
200K this year?
Oh, no, no, no. I'm thinking end of cycle before end of this year.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
So I think I think like somewhere in the 200 mid 200Ks in the middle of 2026.
I
Um
mean, I'm not complaining if that happens, man. Like,
yeah,
I'm very happy if that happens, to
I
be
am
honest.
too, and I wonder if I might be too aggressive. We shall see. Part of that was initially my response to people saying we were going to get there this year. So I'm like, okay, let
Okay.
me
Yeah.
let me tell you to calm down a little bit. So I'll start from that. So what about this year? We got 6 months left. We usually have pretty good move into November, December. What do I think? So what's my best guess? My best guess is we do come back and drift back to the MA50. We tag
Mhm.
88.5. That happens August, and then we continue higher, and then we're at like 130K at the end of the year.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's like a
Yeah.
very grinding.
That's what I would like to see. If I see something like
Yeah,
that, then I'm kinda with you. In fact, I don't even think cycles are gonna be cycles in the way that we think of them,
I
if
agree.
that sort of thing happens, because
Yeah.
we've seen in my opinion, dramatic change in the way that price has been operating since, well, the ETF came around, and what have we been seeing? We've
Yes.
been seeing that
Yes.
after Bitcoin breaks its all-time high, it spends, like, fucking more than half the year, like 6, 7, 8 months consolidating sideways and continuing up. And where else do we
Yeah.
see that? We see that in traditional markets, man. We see that in
Mm.
traditional markets. It's,
Mhm.
it goes up in tranches, then goes sideways for fucking ever, and then it breaks out
Yes.
again. And you don't really get like these humongous, nasty moves. You get these sort of more controlled moves, and they're more
Yes.
boring. And the way
Yes.
that they shake you out is by, or make you capitulate, is by boredom, not by, forcing it down 80, 90%.
Time capitulation, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's been my
100%. Yeah.
biggest fear for Bitcoin is that once it's become more institutionalized, the volatility will come down because,
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen even without that too. It's just a
yeah.
maturing asset, man. I mean, the market cap goes up. It's just too hard to fucking make the order books move at that point. There's
So
just
if
more people
Bitcoin
involved.
can mature, how come I can't mature, man? How come I'm stuck?
I don't know, man. Did the balls ever drop, or what's
No,
going on
I
here?
can't grow up. I just want to be a kid at Toys R Us.
Peter Pan action. Okay, I like
That's
this,
it.
man. Yes, yes. I like
So
it. Have mom and dad watch over me at all hours of the day, tell me I'm beautiful, tell me I'm great, and everything's gonna be fine. I love it, my man. I
well,
love it.
maybe you could tell me. Can I record that? What you just said again? I'll play
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna
Feel
be
good.
everything's gonna be just okay, my man. Just okay.
It's gonna be
You can play
Ari.
this
Everything's gonna be Ari. Oh man,
fucking
look,
love
I think if you're a Bitcoin long, then everything's gonna be all right. That's for
Yeah.
sure. I just think the biggest danger is chasing the beta, right? Is chasing,
Mm,
downtrends. And look, and it's a wonderful ecosystem in that you can play these meme coins, you can play all this stuff, and a lot of stuff
mhm,
that goes up super high. I don't even hear about because it's in the trenches or it's in, the discords and telegrams. I just think I'd like to see a little more action spread across altcoins, mainstream stuff that I know just people are holding. Because I know a lot of people don't want to sell. a lot of people don't want to realize a loss, and they're just holding ADA, they're just holding
That's
Aave,
my
or they're just
favorite
holding
phrase.
whatever.
It's not a loss until you sell.
It's not a loss until you
It's
sell,
definitely
right?
a loss.
It's owning you too, right? It's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's
It's like
opportunity
those
cost.
trades are owning you, that you're refusing to sell. They're keeping
Yeah.
you up at night, and now,
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah. I know a
yeah.
lot of people can relate to that. Shit, I had my fair share of that when I was first beginning as well.
Yeah. What do you think about equities right now too? I mean, I think it looks super good, but maybe lower high
Yeah.
on SPX, or what? You want to riff on
Look,
that, or?
it's the same thing as Bitcoin. It's been vertical since April. It can pull back a little bit here. You know, what's a 10% pullback on SPY or Nasdaq for that matter? They can
Yeah.
afford that, still put in a higher low and continue up, you know,
Yes.
the end of the year. Like that's no problem at all. That's par for the course when you come to traditional markets. And that's exactly kind of what I'm looking at on Bitcoin. It's like, okay, we're actually seeing some legitimate changes of behavior here. Maybe it
Mhm.
is going to just act like these major ETFs and major indices where it just, you know, up, sideways, up, sideways. And I genuinely think that that's what SPY is doing right here. Now, I can massively eat my words in this case, and maybe this really is the top that, you know, all of the Peter Schiffs and Robert Kiyosaki's and all these doomers have been speaking about since
Yeah.
forever. But
Yeah.
that, you know, if you've been betting on that, you haven't been on the right side of history for a very long time.
Bears can be right in the short term.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, but
absolutely.
look at this secular uptrend. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
weekly SPX. I mean, this is kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous. So
Well, that's the
certainly you
thing.
don't
When
want to
you
bet
zoom out on
against it.
time frames, it becomes very obvious.
It becomes very obvious. So I think if we translate what you just said with SPX, and going back to Bitcoin, I think the danger for people is thinking that GameStop's buying, all these other companies I've never heard of,
Mm,
right? They're starting their treasuries.
yeah.
They think, well, Bitcoin can't go down because X.
Ah,
So
yes.
you
It
can
can't
very
go lower.
much, it can go lower, as you know, it can very well drop to all
Yeah.
these different support levels. It could break down maybe this year, maybe next year, who knows when and if and all that good stuff. But just because you think it can't go because Sailor's buying, just wait and
Mm,
see. I mean, Bitcoin, you can get volatility, and even though these companies are buying, you can have volatility events, you can have panic events. The market
right.
needs to shake out, and you actually should encourage it. You got to break things off. You got to shake it out. You got to rebalance short-term supply and demand. This thing is kind of due. We're kind of due. That's why I
Mm,
think 88.5 would be really nice. And how much
yeah.
people would be panicking.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
Cycle
that's,
over, everything's bad.
yeah, we're going, we see
Everything.
the
Yeah.
20K targets would come up,
Yeah.
but we'd just be rising demand and probably grind higher.
On that note, let's do another fun thing.
Yeah.
Let's just take the other side of it. Not
Okay.
saying that either of us believe this is going to happen, but
Yeah.
let's say if the cycle top was literally here, just
Yeah.
the past month,
Sure.
where would you expect the low of this cycle to come in around?
That's a really good question. So, I mean, like, everyone wants to draw a trend line. I'm not really going to do that.
Mm,
So we double top here. So I'm certainly looking at MA 200, see where that lands. Yeah, maybe around, like, mid 40Ks,
I could see that.
something like
I think
that.
anywhere 40 to 50 is good if that were to
Yeah,
happen.
somewhere in this range, somewhere.
Yeah.
I always kind of look at so you have all this price structure here. So a break below this would cause a lot of panic. So you often see bottoms where, like, here we had the bottom where we had the kind of the break below the structure and the panic. It's the recapture, which is the long signal, but it's the panic and the
Hmm.
sentiment overreaction, which allows things to kind of turn around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe a sweep and a loss of these levels could cause some type of bottom if we did top off up here. But again, predicting the exact path, I mean, I'm not that good. So I can't.
I don't think anyone can
Yeah,
literally do that, to be honest, man.
right.
That's some real crystal ball shit. Yeah.
But it'd be fun. It'd be fun. Not that I want it to go lower. I don't want to see people get wrecked, but I just want to see some more
Mm,
volatility. Like you said,
yeah.
it can be a little bit boring, the way the price has been consolidating for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, when I'm putting on my investor hat, that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see one of those
Yes.
major moves. And then that's when I go, okay, here's where I put some money to work. But before
Yes.
that, as an investor, it's very boring. It's
I mean,
really
it
not
kind
much
of
to
lines
do.
up too. It kind of lines up on the monthly. If we want to
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
out there, you can kind of see. I mean, would that be bad? I mean, not really. This still would be one heck of a
No.
chart if the
Yeah.
but
Still long-term bullish chart. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it'd be long-term bullish chart. I mean, I'm not going to draw 80% from the top because
Mm,
I don't think it's like, we're going to repeat. Like I said, I think it's more of rhyming and
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
look, the one thing that's been consistent from cycle to cycle is that you have diminishing returns, but not just to the
Yes.
upside, also to the downside as well. You know, the
Yeah.
first drop off was like 90, then it was 88, then it was like 77, then it was
Yes.
75 or whatever. You know, I can't imagine this one's going to go more than any of the other ones. So, you know,
Yeah.
must be a little bit less, which probably puts us kind of around your range, maybe 40, maybe 50, somewhere around there, I guess.
I mean,
But
it's got a lot of support. I mean, there's no doubt
yeah,
about it. We're not
yeah.
talking about Filecoin, right? We're not talking about like a downtrend, you know. So
We got the
there's
opposite thing here. It only goes up.
it only goes up, and beautiful consolidation here, and at the
Mhm.
end of 2023 could be support. You know, you have all these logical levels. It would just depend how and if and when the price gets there, and of course you drop to a lower time frame when the price is at a key
Mm.
level, and you kind of work out some type of a trading idea where you're defining your risk. But just marking up the health of the trend, it's a beautiful trend.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just seeing really early consolidation following through from the inside bar, you know, sideways rather than up, which is good. High and tight consolidation, holding
Mm.
gains. No real damage has been done yet. And I wouldn't really start to worry until we lose 88.5. And it's tough because that's way below here. But,
Yeah,
you know, it needs a little bit of a shakeout, and that'd be nice for the long
right.
term.
I agree. I agree. All right, man. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. We've been on for 40 minutes now. We're
Nice.
definitely going to be having Cheds back on several times. I really, really enjoyed this, man. And if you have any parting words or want to let people know where they can find you, of course, your links will be in the description below as well. But
Yeah.
take it away, my man.
Thank you. Hey, Eric, glad we got together, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, my
I mean,
man.
I'm Twitter. I'm Twitter at Big Cheds. I'm Cheds Trading on YouTube. I put out a lot of stuff. I published 4 books. I'm making my 3rd book free. I'm reading 1 chapter at a time. So just check that stuff out. Hit me up. I love humans, right? There's so many bots, man. So, I think you're a
I'm right
human.
about
I can
that.
tell you're a human, Eric, but you know,
Some have said yes.
I love, so any humans listening to me, just give me a what up. Let me know what you think. And I appreciate you for having me on, man.
Awesome, man. We'll do it again soon and take care, man.
All right, take care.